Yo, what's good YouTube, man? It's Gary with Just Fan TV, man. Back at you another video at the content of this video. Go ahead and smash that like button at the content of this channel. Go ahead and subscribe, man. Look, so today we're gonna talk about how this next game is very, very important for the Ravens. How it's important for their season going forward. And yeah, man. So let's get into that. But first, let's talk about Lamar Jackson, man. First of all, offensive player of the week for the AFC. So congratulations to him on that. I mean, we almost go for 400 yards total offense, 4 touchdowns, and a big win over a team that was considered to be a top three team in the NFC. Some people were saying maybe they were even higher than that, right? So very, very impressive win for the Ravens. Obviously, very impressive game for Lamar Jackson, and he definitely deserved to be the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So I think I looked at Justin Rebeck's tweet. It's the first time he's won the award since 2021, Week 5, and that was that legendary comeback versus the Colts, where he threw for over 400 yards that game. Ravens won in OT. So that was a crazy game. So that's the first time he's won the award since then. So much deserved to Lamar Jackson. All right. So, it's funny because I was already going to do this video about how this game is important for the Ravens not to play out to the competition, to come out and show that same level of consistency week in, week out, right? And a reporter actually asked Lamar Jackson this question today in a different kind of way during the press conference after practice, right? So the reporter pretty much was trying to frame the question like, well, you guys have had a big win in Cincinnati, then a loss to the Colts, a big win versus the Browns, and a loss to the Steelers, right? Now you get this big win versus the Lions. How do you remain that focused against the Cardinals, right? So he was framing it as win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. And Lamar was like, well, actually, we've won 2 games in a row. We beat the Titans, then we beat, the Lions. So now I think we're moving in the right direction, right? And he's right. The Ravens have won multiple games in a row. It's not like they're win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, right? I think the way the reporter should have framed the question is, how do you guys get up and play every game, no matter who's the opponent, like it's the biggest game of the year, right? Because listen, not just this season, but we've seen Ravens teams in the past where if it's a game that we know like they're supposed to win, a game where they're like the heavy favorite, they come out flat, they come out slow, they come out like they don't have that same kind of passion and desire when we know that they're the underdog, they're the team that's everybody's picking against them. I mean, 'cause look, let's use last week. Let's just use last week as an example, right? I don't know. I think the Ravens might have been like the betting favorite. I think Ravens might have been a 3-point favorite, like with the bet odds. I think I'm not sure. But a lot of the analysts and the experts and all this kind of NFL people were picking the Lions to come into MBT Bank and win the game, right? So I think from a NFL expert perspective, the Ravens were probably the underdog in that game, right? So they came out, they smacked the Lions, they played really well, right? So, and honestly, this is a trend that has happened, for multiple years, right? But we'll just talk about this season because I think the reporter was on the right line, just asked the question kind of in a weird way, right? Listen, the Ravens have a big, big win versus the Bengals, right? We know Joe Burrow's going through the calf thing at the time, whatever, what have you. But this was the first big test of the season for both teams, right? We want to know who's going to have reign supreme in the AFC North. Ravens win that game, are very, very impressive in that game. That game is not as close as the scoreline says it is. But then you come out versus the Colts, you disappoint, right? There's no other way to put it. You start off fast, you drop off. We talk about some of the second half issues with the offense, just going flat, right? The defense played pretty well for the most part, but couldn't get that crucial stop at the end of the game to what I'm saying. I guess they did get it, but the Ravens turned the ball over. But defense did enough to win the game. I ain't gonna put nothing on defense on that game. I ain't gonna do this. I'm gonna take that back. But just the team in general didn't do enough to win the game versus Gardner Minshew and Zach Moss, right? Because that's what the Ravens were playing against, right? Anthony Richardson was hurt. Jonathan Taylor was still on the IR for the Colts, so pretty much the top 2 offensive weapons were not there, and the Ravens lost that game. Execution, penalties. Isaiah Likely had a crucial drop at the end of the game. I think that might be either been the fourth quarter or overtime. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, that happened, right? Okay, the Ravens played the Browns, big win, right? Now, obviously, the Browns will start DTR that game, but the big story about that game going into it was the Ravens are going against the best defense in the NFL right now, right? Which is Cleveland Browns, right? And the Cleveland Browns are still an incredible defense, don't get me wrong, but that was the story going in. And for the most part, the Ravens had their way with the Browns defense, right? Didn't really have any trouble on the day after like the Into the first quarter, second quarter. By that time, they had found their rhythm. They were pretty good. The first couple of drives, the Browns defense stifled the Ravens. They did, but after that, they got rolling. Okay, then they followed that up with a one of the more disappointing losses I've seen as a Ravens fan versus the Steelers, right? When you have all the drop passes and things like that, right? What was it, 7 or 8 official drop passes? Honestly, I think it could have been 10. You know what I mean? But they have that kind of game, right? Where on the day they are clearly better than the Steelers. They're the better team at that time. The Steelers are playing better as of late, but during that time, during that game, the Ravens were the clear better team that week, and they dropped the ball literally and dropped the game as well. Okay, so it's a fair question to ask, right? You beat the Lions. You have the Cardinals coming in. The Cardinals have won one game. And the Cardinals are kind of team where, yes, they've won one game, but they've been competitive in almost all of their contests, right? Josh Dobbs is playing well. They are they're a feisty kind of team, right? Just because the record is what it is, they're not going to come here and lay down. Well, I guess we're going to Arizona, but anyway, they're not going to lay down for the Ravens and just let the game happen. No, they're going to try to win this game, right? So, will the Ravens show up and actually dominate their opponents, right? Because in 2019, this is what the Ravens did. And I say this every time I bring up 2019, but it's like I'm not trying to say like this is the only season we have to have as a benchmark, but it didn't matter who the Ravens played. The level of consistency stayed here. If they was playing the best team in the AFC, it was here. They was playing the best team in the NFC, it was here, right? It didn't drop. It didn't, you know what I mean? It stayed right there, right? We've seen Ravens teams of the past and the Ravens teams of even this season. Hey, look, we're playing this team, we up here. We playing a bad team, we down here. We playing a good team again, we back up here. The Ravens have to find that consistent level. Can they do that, right? So I thought it was very interesting that before they even asked Lamar this question. I think that he didn't want to frame the question in terms of do you guys play down to your competition? Because that might be viewed as disrespectful. These guys are all professional athletes, and another professional athlete saying that probably won't sound right. So the reporter tried to kind of dance around the question a little bit. We should just ask it straight up. You know what I mean? You guys are the odds-on favorite to win this game. When that happens, which has happened in the past, you guys have not always played well, and that's a very, very true statement. I mean, I won't even mention the Texans game really, just because it's the first game of the year. The offense was really trying to get used to each other. That first half, like a preseason game. So, but it's a legitimate question, right? Will the Ravens come here and blow out the Cardinals? Right? Don't even make it a close game. If the Ravens want to be serious about this season, this kind of game is vital for them because it shows that no matter who we play, our level of consistency, our level of play will stay at the same level. If the Ravens play at their good to great level, they will easily beat the Cardinals, right? Easily. But if they drop down, they're not ready to play. They're not fully focused on the game. I'm not saying the Cardinals could win this game, but it's a game that could get scary for the Ravens when it shouldn't have to be scary for the Ravens, is what I'm saying, right? So, for the Ravens going forward, these kind of games are the games that worry me the most, right? I've talked about this before. Like, when the Ravens play, the Dolphins, or they play the 49ers later this year, any type of big game you want to talk about, I don't particularly worry about those kind of games because I know that they're going to show up and play to their maximum potential, right? Very rarely do the Ravens embarrass themselves against good teams. Very rarely. Okay? These are the kind of games that I worry about. A team that should be an easy check mark W on the schedule. Let's get on to next week. They struggle with sometimes, right? And too often. All right? So this week is going to be very, very important for the Ravens to let us know that this team is serious and is for real and trying to contend for one of the best records in the regular season and also ready to take that step forward and win games in the playoffs as well. So that's my thoughts on it, man. Give me your guys' thoughts in the comments, man. We'll talk about it, but I'm going to get out of here. It's Gabriel, just on Fan TV. I'm out.